Greetings, friends. Cholenakasa, Satmom, SATMOM.com. This is a Mary Magdalene Oracle reading. This oracle deck is by Meggan Patterson. So this is going to be an oracle reading and a mini experience. So just take a moment to pause and give yourself a few minutes of space. Take a deep breath. The first card is the soul. I am free. I have not bound anything. Even in the midst of the worst that can unfold for us, the soul whispers, I am free. It seems so strange that something so infinitely powerful could be accessible, visceral even, right here in your body. It seems so strange that something so otherworldly could be reached with an act that seems so entirely commonplace and mundane. Deep breath. With the intention, the consciousness of a single deep breath, we can detach from the ego and all its 7 powers. With one intentional deep breath, we can return to the heart, to the vast expanse of what's possible, to the limitless realm of the soul. In Mary's Gospel, the soul explains, I have been bound, but I have not bound anything. The soul has been bound by the 7 powers of the ego, but the soul does not bind anything or anyone in return. The soul, the essence of who we are, will be judged throughout our lifetime by both our own ego and the egoic powers of others, even our loved ones. The soul will be judged and bound, but the soul doesn't judge or bind others in retaliation. The soul is free and knows it. The soul says about the 7 egoic powers, they did not recognize me, but I have recognized that the universe is to be dissolved, both the things of earth and those of heaven. The ego can't see or recognize the soul, but the soul can see through all dualities. All of those opposites that rule the ego, like day and night, light and dark, heaven and earth, the soul embraces as a unified whole. The soul is not bound to the egoic desires of what being here on earth might bring, nor is it bound to the egoic desires of what heaven might contain. The soul is content to be simply here now. The soul releases both heaven and earth to exist nowhere else but in the present moment. Deep breath. Even in the midst of the worst that can unfold for us, the soul whispers, I am free. So the practice of this soul voice meditation is just simply done in 3 breaths. As you breathe in deeply for the first breath, you return fully to your body. Notice its edges, fingers, toes, skin. And set the intention of dropping into your heart. And in this space, you can feel the love that always is waiting within you. Once you feel this sense of calm, inhaling for your second breath, merging with a voice that's deep beneath the surface noise and distraction of the ego. And we can ask, what does it feel like to repeat inside my heart, I am free? And as we exhale, allowing the answer to simply drop in as the answer rides on the question. The third breath, inhaling deeply, is for drenching yourself in gratitude. Gratitude for doing this work. Gratitude for your practicing self-awareness. And we surface again behind our eyes, still closed, seeing with the spiritual eye of the heart, connected to the soul of who you are, knowing in every cell of your body how it feels to be free. So the next card is really beautiful. Soul work. I am in service of love. This one definitely hit me hard with the deeply with the connection of the divine feminine and the divine masculine in service of love with each other, for all with each other. The strength of the masculine lion and the light and perspective of that feminine bird. And even in times when we feel like relational pieces may be missing, or we may see lack of divine masculine or feminine in our lives, no, there is an underlying already cooperative between the two going on in service of the whole, in service of self, bringing so that we may bring our full selves to the whole of the soul work. At the end of Mary's gospel, after Levi defends Mary's vision and secret teachings of Christ in response to Peter's disbelief, he advises we should clothe ourselves with the perfect human, acquire it for ourselves as he commanded us, and announce the good news. And this means clothing ourselves in our living remembrance. We are to remember that we are not only this human body, we are also a soul. We are both. To be clothed in the perfect human is to be rooted in the awareness of what it means to be fully human and fully divine. This is what Mary teaches, that Christ embodied the unification of self and soul. I love this directive at the end of Mary's gospel because it reminds us to keep stripping away at the ego in order to clothe ourselves with the perfect human. We have to continue to get naked, to allow the layers of the ego, the limiting beliefs, the old stories we've told ourselves 1,000 times to fall away and to realign with our truth, so that what remains is just this radiant soul of love. This way, when we do put on the necessary clothes or egoic states that we have to wear in order to function in the world, we are less and less confused about what they are. Just clothes. These garments of the ego are not our true self. Soul work calls for us to be clothed with the perfect human, to acquire it for ourselves as he commanded us. This calling is for us to do the work ourselves. It is not enough that Christ embodied the perfect human, the wholeness of self and soul in a state of union. We must also devote ourselves to the soul work of becoming one from within, recognizing our inherent wholeness and trading in our brokenness stories for the realization of our wholeness within. And the simple fact that that is possible to encounter the soul now in our human bodies, this is the good news, that we are part of the good inherently. This is the great truth they are meant to announce by becoming this truth ourselves. Inhaling deeply, coming into your body, noticing the edges and dropping into your heart. Exhale, feeling that sense of calm as you connect with that infinity, the infinite love within you. Inhaling again and asking yourself, what does my soul want me to do in this moment? As you exhale, receiving the answer and trusting. Inhaling again with full gratitude, just drenching yourself in gratitude for bothering to do this work and to be self-reflective and surface again behind your eyes, seeing with your spiritual heart, connecting to the soul that you are. The last card that was pulled seemed very, very special, and I did not intend to pull 3 cards for this. And then the skull popped out and wanted to speak as well. Love has already won, especially if we're in a moment where we're feeling the lack of the divine masculine or divine feminine around us, aka within us. Love has already won. The energetic reality is already complete. All we must do is follow the breadcrumbs, bringing ourselves back. The very real struggle for the soul to become free while in a human body. The ego, fearing its own existence, confronts the soul resorts to name calling, but it knows that the soul has already won. Love has already won. The ego may call names to us or others, but the love has already won, and the soul has already won. The ego dies and gets realigned when the body ceases to function, and its ultimate reveal of how powerless the ego was all along. And that inherent powerlessness of the ego is what makes us so loud and fiercely persistent while we're alive. The ego knows it's impermanent, bound to chronological time. The soul knows that it continues to exist after the body ceases to function. The soul is not bound to time, it's eternal, and this inherent difference between the two essential aspects of what it means to be human can help us increasingly be aware of the presence of the soul, which is an unending love within us. Practicing kenosis, self-emptying love, will threaten the ego. The goal is to release any and all attachments that the ego generates. This ego death is the aim, so that resurrection happens here in this lifetime, in this body, again and again. And we may feel it that when we don't surrender to certain ego deaths with our awareness and our own orchestration, life will create ego deaths for us as a way of blessing us and reminding us love has already won, but our ego's out of alignment with that reality. And that's what makes us feel so badly, is that part of ourselves, that egoic part of ourselves, is not believing the truth of our soul. Mary here in this card is sitting at a desk with a skull. She's wearing a white top, a red skirt, and a simple robe belt at her waist that reveals she's pregnant. In the painting, Madeleine à la flamme filante. She's contemplating the flame that's radiating light. The skull with new life in her body. The flames dance all speak to me of the way contemplating death can be liberating. The body will die as certainly as the flame will eventually burn out. But when we can anchor into what is lasting from within, what will end, we know directly that love never dies. The physical presence of Christ is missing. He's glaringly absent, and yet she is full from within with the love that will always and has already won. Breathe deeply, coming into your body fully, noticing your fingers and toes and dropping into your heart space. Feeling the calm of the infinite love, the Christ spirit, the indwelling source, the universe within you, however you would like to call it. And asking yourself the question, inhaling again, what does it feel like to know the presence of love within me? Allowing every cell of your body to feel the presence of love within you. Exhaling and inhaling finally, and drenching yourself in gratitude for bothering to take the journey more deeply into yourself to find the truth of unending love rather than the limited love that's reflected outside of us.